So beyond the seizure or a common public perception of epilepsy, and from your experience, what's the most common misconception about epilepsy you would like to correct?
I think the most common misconception
Yes.
is that epilepsy is the same for everyone, when it's different for everyone. Everyone has a unique profile.
All right.
And a unique way of experiencing a seizure. Myself, I blank out completely, and that time is gone. It's just why it's based. There's nothing in that moment. Others, they might convulse on the floor. I had an acquaintance I met in my later years. His epilepsy was, he had almost like a panic attack when he would have a seizure, and he would get incredibly violent.
Okay.
So it varies, but in his case, his was on the more extreme of natures. It depends on what part of the brain is affected.
All right.
So, for an example, I had a seizure, and I couldn't control my arms. I was trying to grab like a plate, but my arm was going towards the mugs for some reason, and it was the most. It's a frightening experience because you have very little control, little to none at all. So it's very different. Also, for all the people wondering, epilepsy is not contagious.
I wanted to go there because there's a question here where someone is asking me like, is epilepsy contagious? Because that is the misconception out there.
No.
So I think we need your help on that.
Epilepsy is thankfully not contagious.
Thank you.
It's not even. It can be passed down, but it's such a low percentage that it's not. I don't know how to say this properly. It's not biological.
It's not like a virus or something else that can be passed to the other person, to the next person.
If your parents had epilepsy, as mine did,
so it's more of the genetic.
Yeah, genetic. There's a 4% chance that one of your kids might have epilepsy. So it's something just develops. It can be triggered by something. I know someone who didn't have epilepsy, was in an accident, and he developed epilepsy. So it's just kind of something that you're either born with or it develops later on in life.
So in your case, one of your parents.
So both my parents, my mother and my father both had it for 5 years.
And then it's gone.
Yeah, they outgrew it. In some cases, you can outgrow epilepsy.
All right.
That's not to say that you must go and get drunk at the nearest bar and dance under flashing lights.
All right.
Because things can re-trigger it. It's a very similar case with myself. I was 5 years clean, no episode. I got my license, my learner's license, and I was excited to learn to drive.
Was this a driving license?
It was the learner's license.
So, in those 5 years, what had happened for you to live in those 5 years?
I think a lot of it had to play. A big part of it was COVID, in a sense. So nothing really happened in COVID. It wasn't doing much.
All right.
So I kind of got into this rhythm, which I think my brain to some extent found flow.
All right. During those idle times.
Yes.
All right.
And then the 3 years after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, not 3 years after COVID. The year after COVID. That shock of suddenly having to get up early again, work again, do all these multiple tasks all at once.
Triggered it back. Oh.
And so, it's something you've got to be vigilant with it.
So how do you monitor your actions? Because now I know you are a barista and you are a coffee roaster. So how do you manage with all that? Doing your barista roles.
It's
on a daily basis, yeah.
I try and just focus on exactly what I'm doing, to almost flush out that concern, should I say, that maybe that possibility, and you also kind of develop a certain level of acceptance. If it's gonna happen, it'll happen. So but I think it varies for everyone, but for myself, it's just focusing on what I'm doing. When I make a cup of coffee for a customer, I become almost entranced in every step.
All right.
And that's just kind of my way of keeping focus and flushing out any negative thoughts.
So the more you shift your focus on what you're doing, the more it helps you better.
Yes.
Oh, so but is there like a reality of living with it that people rarely see or talk about? Is there something like that that we don't see or we don't talk about?
So I don't know if this answers that question, but I live with lost memories, should I say? That's the only way really. If my mind was a book, this is how I like to describe it, you'd be reading and then there's a page missing. And the mind is a powerful thing. It's an incredible thing. So it almost tries to fill in those gaps. And then people will tell me, no, that never happened, or that's not something that took place.
But in your world, it would have happened.
Yes, and it's to me, it's just my mind taking pieces of my life to kind of fill in that gap.
Or also at times omitting some pieces again.
Yeah. I mean, I could be working and have a seizure, and 90% of the time, no one would notice, because it's that subtle of an experience for me. I don't convulse, I don't start, break dancing on the floor or something. I just go on doing whatever I'm doing, but the life leaves my eyes and everything.
Sorry, Dylan, on that one. You said you can have a seizure and no one would notice. How is that possible?
How do I explain this? It's like a computer rebooting itself.
All right. So it happens internally.
Yeah. So too many messages get sent to the brain at once, and it kind of gets backed up, and then your body for a split second will turn itself on and off again, and that's where the loss in time takes place. You'd have a conversation and not remember the last maybe 30 seconds. The seizure might not have been 30 seconds, but the effect
all right,
is that amount of time. On rare occasions where it is noticeable is when it's a more physical seizure.
All right.
Like the one where I couldn't control my arms. See, because there's two types of epilepsy that I'm most familiar with. There's
Right.
the one that affects a set portion of your brain, and then there's mine, absent epilepsy, which doesn't have a set portion. So wherever the seizure kind of takes place can have a different effect. Like when I was younger, I passed out for 16 hours.
16 hours?
16 hours. I had a seizure. Parents picked me up, got home, and woke up the next morning.
And after those 16 hours, did you even remember like what happened before and what was happening? Or
It was fuzzy. Like certain parts you remember. Like I remember getting home, and I don't really remember getting into
The
like
car
my
or-
pajamas and stuff like that. It becomes like this vivid picture almost that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I would say that right there is the reality, that living with that constant what if, living knowing that so many things can become a trigger for you,
oh, right.
and knowing that people still don't understand what it's truly like, because people's viewpoints, not everyone, but a good amount in my experience, after they witness something like this, or you tell them that you've had a seizure,
Yeah.
there's a subtle change that takes place. Sometimes it's the way they look at you, or sometimes it's the way they treat you, and that in itself becomes very frustrating, because you don't feel like you're a normal person anymore in their eyes. So it's difficult. There's so many caveats, and
So, isn't it maybe it's a lack of information or a lack of knowledge? Like after you tell people about your life with epilepsy, and then they'll start treating you in a different way. What do you think is the reason? Is it that people are misinformed, or is it like what do you think of that?
I think it's a little bit of everything. There's so much information out there, but people also don't really take the time to go educate themselves on the matter.
All right.
But then there's also people who have, very, very mild epilepsy, like I would say, for example, my dad would probably be a prime example of it. It's very mild. So people hear the story of this, and then they think that's enough to kind of understand it and know
All right.
everything about it, which leads to a lot of the misconceptions and a lot of the confusions, and also it also leads to the reason some of us get so frustrated with people, because they think they've heard of one story and they immediately understand
Then
it.
they'll think that's the whole understanding on epilepsy. All right.
But like I said earlier, epilepsy is very diverse. Everyone has a unique profile on the way they experience a seizure.
So listening from one person might not give the idea of how it is
Yes.
in a way.
Yeah.
So like in these 20 years, what long-term side effects you ever had, and how did you overcome and or adapt to?
So I would say one of the physical side effects I've noticed is, originally it was just side effect of the medication.
All right.
But I've noticed that the more seizures I tend to have, the more uncontrollably my hands jitter, which sounds like a minor problem. But when you try do simple things like write a nice letter to someone, or it becomes very frustrating, because you look at what you've done, and you're like, I don't like this. Or I might be delivering a coffee to someone and suddenly my hand just spasms and the coffee goes everywhere. So that's one of the physical, I would say, things I've had to kind of learn to master. So I never carry too much at once, otherwise it gets really like, and it's also another reason I focus so hard, is to make sure that I'm keeping my hand as still as possible, to kind of almost like stiffen up from my hand to my arm, you know. And that's just one. Another one is as I mentioned earlier, I live with lost time.
Yeah.
So I struggle to kind of keep myself sane at times, wondering, is what I'm remembering reality, or is it some kind of illusion I've just constructed for myself to fill in that gap?
So how do you try and overcome all that?
I look for the little things in life, the little blessings, you could say.
What are those? Care to share?
If someone kind of comes in and tells me a joke that's funny, you know, focus on that sense of kind of joy for like just a few, as long as you can, and keep yourself focused on something. You know, if I ever struggle, I just think to myself, okay, I'm at work, I'm going to make a cup of coffee, and I'll make the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So stay focused and just center yourself.
So your way of overcoming or adapting is always trying to focus
Yes.
on what's happening that time and try to make the best out of it.
Yes.